Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of ThinkerViews podcast. Today, we are going to talk about an interesting book based on Indian mythology. Ideally, we are expected to be open minded. We belongs to a culture which was much more open minded, and raising questions and issues when you are logically correct was never considered offensive. It was rather considered the preferred practice to follow. The ancient Indian literature is very rich, and when we talk about it, it is obvious to refer Ved, Puran, Ramayana, Mahabharat, and many other such scriptures. Based on various evidences found by the scholars and historians, now almost everyone started believing that Ramayana and Mahabharat are not just mythological tales, they are the historical tales. It is quite possible that the original versions of these tales were written in a more realistic manner by documenting historical incidents, and over the period of time, legends and superlativeness is added to the fiction, making it look more like a fancy stuff. Today, however, we are not going to analyze the historical accuracies of these fictions, but let us try to explore various angles from which Mahabharata was analyzed by various authors. Late Harilal Upadhyay, a Gujarati author, has tried to stick to the original popular version of Mahabharata in his Mahabharat book series, which is comprised of 7 books. Well-known mythologist Devdutt Patnaik came up with Jaya, which is an illustrated retelling of Mahabharata, where he tried to take a note of some of the lesser-known tales from the epic. Deepak Kaul has tried retelling Mahabharata as a comic book named Corpokshetea, where the characters are set up in current time. Quite different to them, some authors thought of looking to these epics from a specific character's point of view. For example, Anand Nilakanthan, whose debut book Asura, Tale of the Vanquished, was the exploration of Ramayana from Ravan's perspective, came up with 2 books in the series on Mahabharata. He named it Ajaya, the opposite of Jaya. The Mahabharata is actually part of Jaya or Jaya Sanhita, where he did explore it from Duryodhan's perspective. Famous author Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni has tried exploring Mahabharata from Draupadi's point of view and named it as The Palace of Illusions. Famous Malayalam author M T Vasudevan Nair wrote a book named Randaamoozham, which explores the tale of Mahabharata from Bhim's point of view. I might not be pronouncing it correctly, so pardon me for that. Randaamoozham became popular among Malayalam readers. Prem Panicker was impressed by retelling of the Mahabharata in Randaamoozham, and on his blog prempanicker.wordpress.com he tried exploring Mahabharata from Bhim's point of view by keeping Randaamoozham as the base and named the book Bhimsen. Remember, Bhimsen is not translation of Randaamoozham. Bhimsen was published as a series of articles on Prem Panicker's blog, and once completed, he consolidated it in the form of a PDF file and made it available to read for free to everyone. Spread over in 71 chapters, this book is a good read. I will link below all the referred books, including Prem Panicker's Bhimsen, in the description below. Let us take a bird's eye view to the plot of this book, Bhimsen. As Mahabharata is explored through Bhimsen's eye here, it can be started logically from childhood days of Bhim. If the author wanted to refer or explore any other incidents happen outside of Bhim's lifetime, he has to write it like the information was conveyed to Bhim by someone else. Bhim, the second Pandav, felt proud whenever he was called son of Vayu. Often he stands in the balcony and tries to feel the soothing touch of his father. As his legal father Pandu met with his death, Bhim, along with his mother and 4 brothers, was summoned to the palace. He was an innocent boy who loved his food more than anything else. Since an early age, he got to know that his elder brother Yudhishthir has a tendency to talk about dharma and rules and often hide his limitations behind those ideas. It is Bhim who needs to be a front runner in difficult times. He and his younger brother Arjun were the most competent among 5 Pandavas. Bhim found that Yudhishthir was opportunistic and played his cards in a way that can give him the benefit. Bhim, however, considers Yudhishthir a good visionary and has the ability to be a competent ruler. The tale moves ahead from Pandav's childhood to their tussles with Kauravas, the Lakshagruh episode, Bhim's fight with various challenges, their marriages, their wars, and victories. The things move ahead, and the book covers Draupadi's humiliation and Pandav's exile in the forest. Ultimately, the battle of Kurukshetra was fought and justice delivered. The story moves ahead and ends at a point when they were all on their way to their ultimate destination. Here are my views and reviews for this book. Writing anything against the popular version of something is always challenging. And when your target is the Mahabharata, which is almost worshipped by the people, definitely requires a lot of courage. India, that is Bharat, is a land where you can express your thoughts freely and question almost anything if you are backed with the logic. Gita or Srimad Bhagavad Gita is nothing else but a question answer session between Lord Krishna and Arjun. And throughout the book, Lord Krishna keeps motivating Arjun to keep asking questions and resolve his doubts, even if they are very small. This book sees Mahabharata from Bhim's eye, so it is obvious to find some of the things missing from the original or most popular version of Mahabharata in this book. Even the battle of Mahabharata is also explored from Bhim's eyes. In this book, you will find no mythological characters and no superstitious tales. Each and every character is a human being and portrayed as the same. In this book, you will find Bhim himself telling that the court poets and street singers will keep adding legends to the stuff happened really, and there will be a greater version of a very small incident. It is, of course, the author's vision about this tale that is uttered through Bhim's mouth. The partiality of Drona towards Arjun was explored nicely. Bhim was good at archery too, but Drona asked him to go for a maze and clear the path of Arjun. So Karna or Eklavya are not the only ones who are sidelined to clear the path for Arjun. There are many such things mentioned in the book. Bhim's thoughts about Pandavas being sons of gods, Draupadi's marriage with all 5 of them, his guilt for ignoring his wives and sons, apart from Draupadi of course, and other stuff is portrayed quite well in the book. The book has some fantastically written lines that I want to quote in no particular order. Surprise is a good weapon, but you can only use it once. What god was going to make me a king just because I sacrificed a Kshatriya? Or wealthy because I killed a Vaishya? If I had kept them alive instead, I thought to myself, the Kshatriya would fight for me and thus make me stronger. The Vaishya would earn profits through trade and share it with me and thus make me richer. And then, said my brother, there was the Mahabali, the grand sacrifice, where the person who was doing the ritual offered himself up as the final, ultimate sacrifice. This seemed even more pointless. If earning divine blessings was the point of any sacrifice, then why would I go all these elaborate lengths only to die at the altar myself? But loving him, respecting him, identifying with his ambition, all of that did not mean I had to agree with everything he said and did, that I had to give up my own principles and embrace his will and whims. And I was glad of this chance to let him know. Thankfully, they were all crowded together, very close to me, all eager to hurt me. The fools didn't realize that by attacking me as a coward, they were only getting in each other's way. You can let an animal go free, even a dangerous animal, but never let an enemy escape. If you do, he becomes doubly strong, and the next time he attacks, you will die. Strength is good, but you have to learn to use it well, he told me. You need to learn patience, to pick the right time to use your strength. It is when you sympathize with the enemy that you are the weakest, most vulnerable. When your foe is down, your dharma is to finish him, to end it. Animals have an extraordinarily sharp sense for fear. They can smell it on you even before you sense it in yourselves. The first order of business when preparing for war is to set up the cremation ground. Its location determines so much else. You don't want to sight enemy tents too close, nor can it be located so far that the process of mourning the day's dead and attending to their last rites become too time consuming, keeping soldiers from their rest. I couldn't help thinking that our real problem was not the Kauravas, but the bitterness each of us had accumulated over the years. When fear swamps your senses, the techniques you had learnt are always the first casualty. The war was over, but the enemy still lived. The enemy never dies. The book has several proofreading issues that I have mentioned on our review article on our website. It is better to read them rather than talk about them. You will find use of various popular Malayalam phrases like Cheriyamma, Achan, and many others. It gives a little regional flavor to the book. The incident when Bhim meets Dhritarashtra after the Mahabharata war, when Dhritarashtra was to hug him, is missing from the book. It is probably one incident which must have been included, as the book is Bhima's account of Mahabharata. Prem Panicker has read and studied many books written on the topic, and he mentions what he likes in which and what not. It is a good gesture. So, what is the conclusion? If you can read something mythological with an open mind, and if you have the tendency to logically challenge belief and admire literary qualities, you will definitely enjoy this book. So, what do you think about this book? What do you think about this book review? Does it help you anyway in deciding whether to go for this book or not? The book is of course free, but you have to spend your valuable time to read it. So it is better to know whether it suits your likes or reading preferences. If this review has helped you in any way in deciding that, please give a thumbs up, share this article with anyone whom you think this article would be a help. And yes, don't forget to subscribe our channel to get notified whenever we publish a new article. Till then, bye bye, take care, namaskar. Wish you a healthy time.